Hey, good morning, everybody. Stan Dale, president of Florida SunCoast BMW. Hey, we're out at Cars and Coffee again on Saturday here in Fort Myers. Just had a great day. This is pre-Christmas Cars and Coffee, so had a lot of folks out. And hey, I just want to introduce you to one of our friends here, Steve Armstrong. Steve, welcome, man.
Hey,
it's good
nice to see you. How are you?
Yeah, it's great. It's
Good.
great. Thanks for coming down.
Hello.
You made a trip down from Sarasota.
We
today.
did, yeah. My brother-in-law came down. It's a beautiful day. We figured we'd come down and meet some folks down here.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, Steve, how long have you been a member of the chapter?
Well, we just moved from New Orleans after 42 years there, so I've only been a member here locally for a couple of months now. But I've been a BMW owner. I've owned this car for 12 years, and I had one back in the 80s. So I've been in and out of the club for 40 years.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. What's the coolest thing about the BMW chapter?
It's just the nice people that you meet. You know, you get to see cars that are outside your typical sphere of interest, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't go to meet other people, you kind of get stuck in your own little world of cars. So I like to go out and meet and see what other people are driving.
Yeah. So the viewers now are already looking right past us, and they're seeing this sweet thing right behind us. So take a few minutes and tell us a little about what you got here.
Okay, well, this is my pride and joy. This is a 1972 3.0 CS. I'm the fourth owner of it. It was originally bought in Manhattan at Poppin Motors back in the day by a banker. And then it was sold to a lady named Suzan De Kuyper, who owned the De Kuyper Distillery in Holland. You may have heard of De Kuyper Liquors before.
Wow.
And she kept it on her farm in Vermont. And then she sold it to a doctor in Long Island, and then he passed away. And the car basically was rotting in his garage in Long Island for a number of years until his son reluctantly decided to put it up for sale. And I found out about it on the forum. And when I got it, it was all covered in mold and mildew and had been neglected for months in the garage. Years in the garage. And so I first it took me about 5 days of nightly phone calls to convince him to sell it to me, because it was his father's baby, right? You know the story. And so once I convinced him to sell it to me, that I was the right person for the car, I got it down to New Orleans and spent about 6 months pulling it all apart and cleaning it all up to get it back cosmetically looking good. And then I've rebuilt everything on this car. I was thinking about this last night. Everything on this car I've rebuilt except the master cylinder of the brake system. So It's very reliable, knock on wood. I've driven it to many cross-country events, to the Vintage in North Carolina 3 or 4 times, to Amelia Island a few times, and Hilton Head a few times. And so it's been around the block. So don't look too closely. It's got a lot of battle scars, but it's very reliable, and it's got a few little period tweaks and mods here and there for fun. But yeah, just to get out and drive it is what I'd like to do the most.
Let's take a peek inside. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, this is a slightly modified engine. This one has it has triple Weber carburetors. You really can't see them behind the airbox. The airbox and the intake system was made by a company in Germany called VGS, which in the late 60s and the early 70s was the importer for Weber carburetors for Germany. And at the time, they made a few bespoke manifolds and intake manifolds to match their Weber carburetors with these M30 engines for BMW. And I've only seen 2 for sale ever. I missed out on the first one about 10 years ago. And then a friend of mine in Germany said, I found the intake manifold for this car, for the engine. Do you want me to get it for you? And I said, please do. And so I opened the savings account and sent him the money, and I got the whole period correct setup. It has a slightly hotter camshaft and a higher compression piston. So it looks stock, what you could have gotten back in the day, but it's got a little more pep to it than a normal car would. And then the interior is all original. I haven't really done anything to the interior other than I put a gauge pack into where the speakers go. That's what Alpina would have done back in the day. But everything I do is reversible and something that would have been available back when you bought the car. The interior, the leather is all original, and all the other stuff's original. The stereo system's original. Didn't touch anything.
Wow, and just amazing shape, Steve. This
Thank
is
you. It's a labor of love, and you know, I don't have to explain that to all the car people out there. You know what it's like. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. So this is what we do at Cars and Coffees, folks. So we come out, and you don't have to be a tech hound, but I'll tell you what, it's so much fun listening to folks do what they do to their BMWs, and it's just you're in love with it. It's the passion.
That's right. And
it's the passion,
and you get to see the other people's passions too. What interests them. It's really a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And as always, if you will, take a look at the stuff down below. We have all kind of activities going on all across the Panhandle. the top of the state, out in Jacksonville, Tallahassee, all across the state, down the coastline. It's just an amazing time to get out and just come and enjoy. We continue to plan these kind of events so you can get out and mix and mingle and make some new friends and see some really cool stuff. Do your research through us if you want to do it that way. So it's the holiday period. We're going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. And hey, if you're on the sofa, you're just missing out on all this really cool stuff. Until then, we're going to tell you, happy motoring. See ya.